7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Evening, everyone. Welcome to Friday Night Live with That Mill podcast. Hope you're all doing well tonight. Thanks for coming along as always. Tonight, joining me, my regular co-host. First up, he's back from death's door, Mickey Simpson. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm glad I'm fucking back. You pair of fuckers took the piss fucking badly out of me on Monday night's show. So there's some banter due in the back cupboard, mate, for you two pair of cunts. So yeah, we started off early.
Well, joining us also is Mr. Neil Fizzler. How you doing, Neil? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Mickey, good evening, everyone.
You happy to see Mickey back, Neil? I don't know. I'm still undecided. I'm hearing loads of rustling from him, and he's eating his sweets already. So I'm quite annoyed already, to be honest with you. So I mean,
yeah, but he's eating sweets, but he hasn't vaped yet, has he?
Yeah. Evening to everyone in the chat, by the way. Hope you're all doing well. I saw a couple of messages. Evening to Kevin. How you doing, mate? Evening, Josh. Evening, Gavin as well. How you doing, mate? Obviously, get everyone in there. John London, how you doing? Adam Scanner's already on the pizza and pod. Love that, Adam. Thank you, mate. Yeah, I mean, hello everyone. Barry as well. How you doing? And also Keith. Friendly faces. Everyone was getting used to seeing everyone. Maybe one day we'll hopefully be able to get past this and do a live Friday Night Live in a pub one night and all get on it. So, but yeah, I mean, tonight obviously we're going to talk about. We haven't done a show after Wednesday's 2-0 win at the Den over Birmingham City, so we'll be previewing that. Reviewing that, shall I say? We'll also be previewing tomorrow's game at home to Wycombe Wanderers, where the Lions look to make it 4 wins on the bounce. I mean, wow. We'll be talking about a few other bits and bobs. You know, obviously injury news, stuff that's coming along in the last week. Obviously bits and bobs from news at Den, all sorts of various outlets. But yeah, I mean, first things first, we won on Wednesday, Neil. I can't believe it. I mean, we're currently, I think, 7 games unbeaten, won our last 3. I mean, it's hunky-dory days at the moment for us, isn't it?
Yeah, well, happy days. Yeah, well, we waited quite a long time for this, and it was another... It wasn't a great game. Let's not make any bones about it. But we won a game of football, and that's what it's all about. I don't give a shit how we played as long as we pick up the 3 points at the end of the day. That's what the game's about. It's about winning. You can play all the pretty football in the world you like, but if you don't deliver, which is actually 3 points, it's fucking useless.
No, that's it. I mean, you know, end of the day, I think we're getting the job done. And I think Gary Wright summed up nicely on Wednesday, Mickey, after the game. He was saying, you know, we probably played better in November time when we was drawing all these games and a couple of losses and went on our little poor run of form, so to speak. But we're playing not necessarily to the same standard, he said, but we're getting the results now. So there's a bit of a know-how going on at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, I think it is. I think we're getting the rub of the green now, aren't we, as well? So we're starting to start digging in and looking as if we actually want to win games now rather than just deal with a draw and go by there. So yeah, sorry, I just seen that comment from Alan Smith. Neil is king of Tinder.
Neil, can we, before we crack on with the serious stuff, in which case, have we got an update? Are you on Tinder yet? What's going on, mate? Everyone wants to know.
We're in the middle of fucking lockdown. Yeah, around here are a bunch of fucking grasses, yeah? They love giving people 200 fucking nicker fines, yeah? I'm not going to do that for some fucking old boiler.
I think we need a little ultimatum here, Neil. I think, you know, it's dragging on for a few weeks now, and I think the chat are keen on this. I've seen Gavin mention it above, and I know now Adam's been on me during the week about this as well, mate. Well, come on, we need a bit of an ultimatum here. When are you going to be on Tinder? And if you don't, by a certain date, I think we need a little podcast forfeit that's got to come along. Go on, Mickey, what are you going to say?
I've got an idea. All right, everyone who's listening tonight, write Neil a profile, and the best one tonight, we will put live and make Neil a Tinder profile, and then we'll see what's what. We could always interview them on next week's show, bring them on to next week's show, and they got 2 minutes to tell Neil why they should go on a date with him. No, that would be quite fun, wouldn't it?
Wow, imagine that. I mean,
I'll have to fucking move again, you cunt.
Wow. Oh, mate, if you
honestly think I'm going to let you interview a bird for me?
Listen. If you think it's a good idea, say
when I'm
yes.
the king of the interviews.
Joe reckons you're better for Grinder.
Grinder. He's a cunt, he is. Fucking hell.
But yeah, evening to Alan. Obviously, I know we've read your comment already, and also evening to Linus. Thanks always, guys, for tuning in and how we all doing. Obviously, Dark fruits are on the go here at the moment from Adam. Anyone got a beer to hand? I mean, I'm still not had a drink in 2021, so I think I'm probably the anomaly in this chat. So, I mean, still going strong at the moment for myself. But yeah, let's talk back to the football, lads. We need some real kind of context here, obviously, to Millwall going at the moment where, 6-7 games, it's 7 games actually, if you take away the FA Cup tie nil in the middle of that, 7 games unbeaten, 3 wins on the bounce. You got a run of games coming up, the likes of Wickham coming to town tomorrow, mate. I mean, where's this turnaround come from, Neil? What's changed in your opinion?
What's changed? I think we're creating chances and we're scoring goals, aren't we? Mm-hmm. You look at that first goal on Wednesday night, a poor back pass to the goalkeeper. Jed Wallace has nipped in there, hasn't he? And has stuck the ball in the back of the net. And we are creating chances. The Mason Bennett header last week at Reading, I think we said it on Monday afternoon. We put the ball in the 6-yard box and he's leapt like a salmon straight in the top corner, isn't he? So we're actually creating chances. And we don't look like conceding very many. I must admit, it would help if we had a fucking decent referee. How poor was that cunt the other night? The world and his mother saw that geezer handle the ball on the line. The only 2 cunts who didn't see it were the lino and the referee, and maybe Jack Clark, I didn't think. I thought I saw a tweet from him in the week. He didn't see it either. And then to cap it all off, their geezer flies through the back of, was it Ben Thompson?
Yeah, it was indeed.
Yeah, and that was a red card all day long. And I'm not just saying that to be a bit lemon about it because we won the game. But you look at these games in the last, or this season, we were denied 3 penalties at Blackburn, 3 clear-cut penalties. 2 were fucking punching the ball off the geezer's head like fucking Peter Shilton. Mm-hmm. And Maradona, weren't they? And I just don't know where these referees are coming from or why they're being allowed to make such absolutely fucking awful decisions. I think we should have had a penalty at Reading last week and we didn't get one. But to answer your question and not to rant much because actually Mickey's shoulders are in there. It's because we're creating chances. We're putting the ball in the box, and you put the ball in the box, you're going to score eventually, aren't you?
Well, that's it. I think, to caveat the decision on Wednesday with the handball at least, I mean, at first sighting, I did think, has he put his face on the line there and just took it plumb in the face at first? You see the replays from behind the goal and you're like, well, straight away, obviously it's handball. And I suppose if there was a crowd there, Mickey, we'll talk about that one, and especially with also the tackle on the halfway line on Thompson by Dukowitz, however you say his name. I think if crowds were there, maybe 2 decisions go a different way there, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it was something what was said on the commentary on Wednesday was that if the fans were there, the referees would be under a lot more pressure to give to give the decisions. Mm-hmm. And I think that we already know through speaking to various players we've spoken to through Into the Lions Den and obviously the family special series and stuff we did, that referees seem to grow a pair of bollocks when they come to the Den. They've got something to prove, or they try to have something to prove. And I suppose now they've got no intimidation factor from the crowd, so they just do what they want to do without fear of reprisal. Okay, the worst they've got is maybe a manager and assistant manager and a couple of players screaming and shouting at them, but they can be disciplined. It's not like having, 14, 15, 16,000 fans and someone on the east or the west lower telling him, listen, you cunt, I know what car you drive, I'm going to fucking wait for you. So, yeah, I think it's definitely different, but I agree with you. I think if those decisions were made when we had fans there, especially the tackle on Thompson, I wouldn't be surprised if someone hadn't jumped over the little parapet, mate, and chin that geezer.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I think no crowds. I mean, thankfully, it didn't work against us, right? So we've still got the win, and Birmingham. I mean, I guessed it on on Monday on the Blue Focus show, who also we've got Tom on obviously last Friday, and you can see they're just in dire straits. And I think, Karanka is like on borrowed time at the moment, so not quite another manager that's got the sack after a Millwall win against them, Neil, just yet.
No, but they were fucking awful, weren't they? They really were dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the poor teams we've seen, they just look to have absolutely nothing about them. And I just hope to hell we don't sign that Lucas Djukovic, because otherwise, otherwise his first training session with Ben Thompson could be very funny, couldn't it?
Are you having that? Do you reckon?
A little bit.
People saying online about how Garrett kind of defended Djukovic. Obviously, he used to manage him, I think, obviously when he's at Birmingham. Are you having that? Do you think it's maybe because there might be interest in the summer, or?
Yeah, possibly. I think he was linked in January, wasn't he? I don't know if it was erroneously or anything like that, but I would have expected Gary Rowett to have said a little bit more, because I thought it was a disgusting tackle. And it was a foot over the ball tackle from behind. Those are shithouse challenges because the guy can't see where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to agree with you, mate. I think it was a shoddy tackle, and I think obviously we've said that, if it was a crowd, then maybe we wouldn't have got away with it. Even there's a few people that have joined the chat. Obviously, Evelyn Stewart, how you doing, Matt? Well, mate. Likewise to Dave, Joe Warren in the chat. How you doing, Joe? Gavin, obviously, we're saying we rarely get pens, but always get shit refs. I think, that's one thing I miss singing on an away day or at home. We always get shit refs. And we do, don't we? And, obviously, I think you spoke to Mark Phillips, Neil. I remember listening to the Into Lions Den afterwards. And he's like, even he said it, there's just a difference to when you're playing for Millwall at the Den. You can't really approach the referees or talk to the referees. And he spoke about how when he left to go other clubs, you can reason with refs and talk to them more. But you don't get that when refs come to the Den, he felt like.
No, and he was actually saying how some referees, I think he referenced Uriah Rennie, was actually telling our players to fuck off and things like that. Jesus, that referee nearly chinned that Ipswich player this week. Yeah, I totally agree with Joe. Really do, and I don't criticise referees that often because it's a bit poor, especially if you lose. But we're on a bit of a run of form, but those two decisions on Wednesday were absolutely fucking criminal.
No, of course, I do agree with you. And I think also Alan's saying the same thing here. The referee fucked up at the Blackburn away game was a Northerner. I think he was from Preston. Unreal. Biased refs. I think Preston and Blackburn have a bit of a rivalry, guys. I don't know if they'd help each other out there personally, but I do agree. Go on, Mickey.
Do we have the dodgy ref with the Swansea when he come off fucking high-fiving them as well?
Yeah, that was a Swansea game. And he also refereed, which game was it recently? The away game we had. Or was it a home game? What was the game where we got a couple of decisions against us? And I think he went off the pitch. The mind skips me now at the moment, but I think there was a couple of games ago where we had the referee like that. But lads, I mean, we spoke about obviously the referee there. What about Keith's comment here where he said, Rowett had to change his style of play or lose his job. Playing like proper Wall now, that's the difference. Agree with that, Mickey?
I don't think he was at risk of losing his job, if I'm honest. I think he's there to rebuild. I just think that now I think his ideas are slowly coming through. I think he's probably won certain players back or done. You can see that whether or not he's now made it, with Thompson, where he's playing Thompson a bit more, this, that and the other, whether or not there was a bit of disharmony behind the scene. Because through some of the players we've spoken to, they've all turned around and basically said that, pretty much they control the back end of it. They're the little cartel in the background as such. So, I think there was a little bit, regardless, as Neil likes saying, that I fucking blame COVID for everything. I don't. I think there was probably a bit when they weren't testing as much as they are, where they've gone back into testing now, where people were probably always together. Some of the training sessions possibly a lot less in a week, but now
Mickey, hang on a minute. Come on, we've got to move past this point, Mickey.
It's a fact. It's now changed.
It's not
and
a
it's
fact.
Proved.
It's not a fact. Because, mate, Premier League and Championship clubs have all been in the same bubble since Project Restart, and they've always been tested. And then Championship clubs stopped doing it.
Bullshit.
So you're telling me on a Monday to Friday...
were not testing.
They were at first. They were at first.
And then when we weren't too bad. And what I'm talking about is where we started going down, where I don't think the training was there. We'll find out at some point where the training weren't there. I don't reckon they were training 3 or 4 times a week week like they are now to during the prime time where people were coming down, isolation, and everything else. I just don't
But your
think
point is, you're saying there's different groups
Premiership.
training.
Somebody in the
Premiership's
chat.
got money.
Yeah, come on, let's
Yeah,
put
can
a vote
somebody in the
right?
chat who walks past the training ground on their one permitted bit of daily exercise, have you looked over the fence and have you seen us training on?
Well, this is it. Because legit,
that's the only way
I
to
know,
settle this one.
I know where Mickey's point's going, but I feel
No, do
like
you know what?
you're
Let's just
pointing in
put-
the wrong direction.
I'll
Because
put an
Mickey,
email in. I think we're putting an email into the club and ask.
You gonna let me get my point across, or you gonna keep
Yeah.
fighting here, mate? Come on.
Yeah, well,
I'll
Billy
tell you what-
Taylor watches us. Billy, send us a DM on Twitter
I'm
before
telling
the end of
you,
the night.
If Monday to Friday, if they couldn't do group training together, they couldn't do team shape, they couldn't do formations, they couldn't do analysis together, they couldn't line up together, there'd be no football because you couldn't prepare for a game that way. And if you're comparing it to other clubs and saying other clubs in the Premier League were doing it or whatever, I'm telling you, there's no way football would come back without there not being training. I agree with you when you're saying training would be less, right? Because training would be less because they're playing Saturday, Tuesday, or Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday, Tuesday, or whatever. They'll be training often, or less often, sorry. But I just think it's nigh on impossible that when we was in our bad run of form, I can't see it being on Monday, Group A turn up, on Tuesday, Group B turn up, or in the evening or in the morning.
No, I don't even think it was that. I think
What would you think?
I think you'll get one day where you'll get majority of people turn up and it'll obviously be the fucking distance and everything else. But most of the time they'll be doing all the fitness training and stuff on their own, going through the formulas where they need to do. The Premier League has the money. At the time when this started kicking in, the Championship were doing everything, right? The Championship were doing all the testing, everything else, twice a week, 10 grand a pop every week, blah, blah, blah. Then it started getting too much where the clubs weren't being able to throw the money at it. 40 grand a month was just not viable. So they then start stopping, same as League 1 and 2 stopped. But Premiership's never stopped.
Mickey, have you not looked at their social feed where they posted the pictures of them training?
Did you not listen to me a minute ago?
You don't see this?
Listen, I said to you that they're now training. Now they're testing.
I'm gonna go back through the timeline in June, and I'm gonna grab pictures of them training together to prove to you that they are training together. Because why would they come back otherwise? June, July, when Project Restart came back, they were definitely training.
I'm not about June, July. They were fucking testing still then.
So you're saying in November time they weren't training?
From about August, September, that's when they started.
No, they weren't testing.
They weren't testing at
the start of this season.
That's why.
Well, that only came in 3 or 4 weeks ago.
But that's why testing happened.
That's what I'm saying.
Twice a week.
I agree, but I'm saying they can't not train together because then they wouldn't bother playing.
I agree with you, Omar, actually, on this one.
I'm
not saying that Mickey's wrong, but I don't think he's right.
If you're not saying Mickey's wrong, I'll say it. Mickey, you're wrong. There you go. I think.
I don't think he's right. But there you go.
Neil's getting splinters by sitting on the fence over there. I think people in the chat.
No, I'm not. Fucking listen to it. I'm not saying he's wrong. He's right, but he isn't right on it.
We've got a few different comments here, lads, and I think one of which we're going to move on to. I think we'll probably talk about it now. In which case, Joe mentioned here. What do you guys think about Cooper potentially being injured for the rest of the season with his shoulder injury? So obviously, in recent weeks, we've kind of stepped up our form. Gary Rowett must feel like he's one of the most unluckiest managers in the division. We're winning games again. Maybe, just maybe, quietly going about our business, trying to surge back up the table. And then, what we're having here is Sahor's injured now. Obviously, Murray Wallace is out. Now Cooper's out. I think there's someone else out that's not coming to memory. Ryan Leonard's out. Injuries galore here. What's going on? What's the case of what can we do to fix this, Neil? Is there going to be opportunities for younger players now, do you think? Or how must Gary Rowett be feeling about this? Obviously, scenario here in his hands.
I think the Cooper injury was desperately unlucky, wasn't it? Didn't he fall to the ground and one of those brummies fall over him or something like that and landed on his shoulder or something? Yeah, well, I know that Mickey's doing that. Fucking hell, I bet you Jake Cooper wishes he could do that. I tell you, and then he'd be out there tomorrow.
Shoulders, fucking. I mean, my shoulders in bits, but shoulders just kill me. And the fact that he dislocated it before and he's dislocated it again in a different place just means that where he had support before, he's probably not got that now. And the way he landed, as soon as he landed, you knew that had popped. And it's not so much when it pops, it could go back in fairly easy, but it's afterwards where, in case it pops again or anything else, if he's got to have surgery on it, he's not going to be playing for the rest of the season. He will be out. So it's going to be on that surgery. If he has to have surgery on it, or they can tape it up until the rest of the end of the season, which I could see Cooper saying, just, I want to get through this season because he's that much of a Millwall player, the team player, anything else. Then if there's any chance he will, but if not, then he's out. And we're starting to see that, we are going to need to rely on the youngsters possibly coming in to save us this season, which, put some good, I think that could be a good sign if we get some of them in.
I think he has to try out Hayden Muller at some point. He has to sit on the bench because I think his options are so limited now. Ryan Leonard, who can play there, out for however many games. Yeah, Pierce will be back in the side who was on the bench. So he has to find himself an option unless he dips into the free agent market. Yeah, it's his options are so limited now. Yeah, exactly. I can't see him actually taking a chance on Muller. I can see him putting Muller on the bench, and then if he has to use Muller, then he could bring him on for 5 or 10 minutes at the end of a game. I don't know, but he has to do something, and unless he thinks totally outside the box and decides to play maybe Marlon Romeo there, or even Dan McNamara.
Well, this is it. I think there is obviously versatility in our squad, which obviously Ryan Leonard being injured now looks terrible because no Leonard, no Mobilis, and now no Cooper. So you've got no players that can fill in the centre half. Maybe Clifton Bell could do a job there. You don't know. He's maybe a similar sort of mould, But I do want Muller to get a chance. And I don't know if it's maybe something to be read into, and I don't know what the chat think about this one. So obviously comments below about Muller here. But obviously start the season and the end of last season, Muller was involved. He was in and around the setup. He got a couple games. He played pre-season. I remember playing the Palace game when I think it was Scallop got injured in the warm-up and then he played the full 90. Is he not rated? Is he kind of fell down the pecking order, do you think, maybe here, Neil? Or is it, I don't know, what's it on your opinion? Because obviously if he's not playing, and this is the opportunity now to bring in a youngster, I'm not saying play him now.
I think he had plenty of options before now. Mm-hmm. And Cooper's only got injured the other night, didn't he? So I think tomorrow you will find out.
It'll be Pierce. It'll be Pierce in tomorrow. But then this is it though. So if Pierce gets injured,
but he has to put him on the bench. He has to put Muller on the bench tomorrow, unless he's got another option in mind. It would be absolutely suicidal to go into a game tomorrow without at least a central defensive option on the bench. Well, then, unless he has got something else in mind, maybe he might change the formation.
If he changes formation, do you reckon he'd go back to the 4-2-3-1? We did that Reading in the second half, maybe? Is that what you're thinking? Or what do you think?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, 4-3-2-1 or whatever it was that he ended up playing.
I think he's possibly... again, looking at the stuff that's come out in the press the last couple of days or so, there seems to be loads about, so-and-so's injured badly, so-and-so's injured, so-and-so's injured. So, again, are these players as badly injured as what he's saying, or is this just media play coming into Saturday's game? Because we know that the twathead who's the manager of Wickham, who never forgot what he did to Tony Craig, but, he likes to play mind games. Is this just a form of mind games going into Saturday's game when actually, the scan today maybe will be all right and Cooper's can play a few more games, just maybe we have to be a bit sparse with him. But it's a fucker though for him, wouldn't it, to do his original injury away at Birmingham and then do it again on the home.
Talk about a bogey side there,
especially
right?
a geezer falling on him like that, because the guy was going nowhere, was it? Was he really?
So. No. Stephen here saying this is the issue, obviously, with a small squad. I think, playing Saturday, Tuesday, it's to be expected. So, in that sense, maybe Rowett's got no excuse because, he should have preempted this. And if he doesn't play the youngsters, then I don't know. Maybe it is something to be read into. I personally think if Muller was rated, he would have got his chance in a couple of the cup games we had. I'm thinking Bournemouth away. I'm thinking, and I'm not saying he's suddenly not rated, but maybe he just doesn't think he's ready. Same thing with George Alexander. A lot's been said about him in the past and whether he gets his opportunity to play up front. And he hasn't done so. He's not featured once under Gary Rowett, has he? So, that's, I guess, in that case, I think if the manager thinks they're good enough, they'll play, isn't it? Let's be honest. What did you click on there? Sorry. Oh, right. Okay. Well, we're not talking about Tinder at the moment. So,
I know we weren't. That's why I popped it up there. I weren't talking about it, but no,
how
I
about that
think
one?
I
Overtraded.
yeah, listen. There's lots of it. Same as I probably wouldn't have brought. I wouldn't have brought Billy on the other night. 5 minutes to go, freezing cold. Giving him, did he warm up properly for there and all that? Where he's just coming back from an injury. Regardless of what you think, the game was Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, etc. The fact that the pitch is so fucked, the fact that the weather's been so fucking cold out there, all of that. The players are going to be delicate for injury. They are going to be at risk of injury. Same as it's not just us. There's other players around other clubs what are being injured. But we always have this with the team. We always get to a stage where we're looking as if we could possibly kick on, and then we get hit with injuries. It's not the first time we've had it and we deal with it. But again, it's like, what's his name, wherever it is now, said, the small squad. We've always seemed to play with a fairly small squad rather than, saying that, we have got enough strikers, we have got enough doubles on positions, but we always just, compared to some of the other league teams who've maybe got, 40, 50 players where, we seem to try and do by with 30, 35 or whatever, or less than that. But yeah.
The numbers, it's I think we've got about 23 in the squad, you could say, but the rest of the youth players. But I think the problem is you want to get a fine balance, and this is always a catch-22 for manager. And I think Neil Harris was always the same about this as well. If you look at the under in Holloway, that springs to mind, right? We had about 30 first-team players, and you had likes of lone players galore coming in, and I think what you lose with that is you lose the squad morale. You have a lot of players that ain't playing, not even getting in the squads, that are senior pros in their 20s or 30s, that are not even involved and just kicking about thinking, what's the fucking point of this? And they're not playing. Whereas if you balance that and then have a smaller squads, then obviously in that sense, then you have less players, but also more options, I guess, more chance of them playing and feeling more involved. So it's always a catch-22 with that one. I personally prefer this approach. And I just think in these scenarios, you've got nothing to lose. Like, we're safe now. I feel like we're safe now. We're a few more wins away from basically staying up. I think Richard here with a good comment straight away to back up my point. We're on 41 points, 16 games left. Don't panic. I don't think anyone's panicking. I think it's more so we're thinking. Panicking. It's more so thinking, we have an opportunity to try and kick on. And then in this case, this is the scenario we're in at the moment where, are we going to be able to kick on with these injuries? I personally think mid-table is a good season, especially after the run we went through November, December time. So, Shane Ferguson, how about him? Is he finished under right now, do you reckon, Neil? He came on the other night after his injury.
I was hoping we were going to talk about this because I think there's a few players that are probably finished under Rowett. I think Shane Ferguson probably is one. I know that he was linked with the Spotters on deadline day, wasn't he? And apparently we wouldn't let him go. Mm-hmm. But Shane Ferguson's he's a League One player at best, isn't he? Really. And maybe it'd free up wages to have a couple of younger players. I don't know. But we're talking about central defenders. Unless Shane Ferguson can play we can play at central defence.
Conversation seems to be dominated a bit more about Alex Pearce at the moment in the chat. So, I mean, I'll put it out there to everyone in the chat at the moment. Are we rating Alex Pearce? Are we having Alex Pearce? I think undoubtedly he's come in a couple of years ago during that shit season under Harris before Harris left. Came in, stabilised the ship, galvanised the squad and helped us stay up that year, let's be honest. And then obviously stayed on last season, played well in the free. I think this season he just lost. He didn't have a pace in the begin with, to be honest with you, Neil, but I think he's lost even that extra yard of pace that he might have had there. I think I saw it against Crystal Palace when Zaha, I think, rinsed him a couple of times, and especially for one of the goals. And I think it's the same story at the moment. He comes on and I don't know. I just think he's a League One player, isn't he? And that's no disrespect to Alex Pearce. Great character and obviously great career. But I don't know. I think he's I feel like if he plays, he's a weak link in our defence.
His career's on the downward curve, isn't it, as they say. He's the wrong side of 33, 34, possibly.
I'll tell you exactly.
Maybe even a little bit older. He's got no pace.
Only 32.
Only 32.
Yeah.
Christ almighty.
Yeah, but he's got. I agree with you. He's got no legs, but when he's on that pitch, no fucker can hide. He's screaming at people, get back,
Yeah,
do
but
this. I mean, he had a go. He had a go at Monroe, didn't he? He had a go at Malone the other night with fucking when he was right up next to the goal, going, "What the fuck are you doing here? Get back up there now and fucking run." And he is a proper leader on the pitch, but do we
yeah, but we can't
sacrifice
afford
that?
to have them.
Yeah, but
No.
we had no. You say that, but we had Morrison like that. Morrison was losing his legs, but he gave something when he was on the pitch. He gave something,
But we need to get away from that because we're looking towards the Premier League. We're not looking towards League One.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
And if we had all the players there and fit and everything else, then I don't think he'd get in. And he'd sit more on the sideline, giving a bit of shout and whatnot from the side. But at the moment, do we need him on the pitch to make sure that we're not fucking carrying people and people are riding away? We need to sit there and get in him.
Well, here's comment from Josh. Do we go with swapping Pierce about every other game and change the defence, which is looked upon, or change our formation, stick with defence we're comfortable with? What's your preference? Is Pierce in your side if you're picking the team for tomorrow, Neil? We'll get onto that obviously later on in the show, what our 11 would be for tomorrow. What's your opinion on that one?
Mixed, really. I think at the moment we've probably got to play him. We've got no option, have we?
Mm-hmm.
We've got absolutely no option.
Even in MFC players, by the way. Sorry, no.
We haven't got enough players. So whatever he does, he's got to play Alex Pearce tomorrow.
That's a bold comment there.
Pierce is the same as Rhino. I mean, so we've got a few coming through here. Like Pierce never tells boys to get off Bart's toenails. The same with, I think people say, look, he's a coach in the making. Undoubtedly, when he took over the side for obviously the couple of games, the first game in particular, you can see how much the players wanted to put the effort in for him. And this is what, we're all saying here. Great character, absolute fantastic leader for us. This is it. Everyone's saying the same thing. Great leader, every few game player. Reckon he gives us more to the change room than the team. Pierce is a leader, but his legs have gone. He's young, only 31, 32. We've discovered that. He can't play Saturday, Tuesday, but he's worth keeping around the club for his leadership, if nothing else. He's an okay backup. I think everyone's kind of all saying the same thing here. So he's got the spirit of a wall player and a good leader, but fitness isn't massively up there. Maybe, I listened to a Paul Robson's podcast the other day on the Wall Talk with the club, right? And he says the same thing when he came on our show. He's a sort of central defender. Maybe Pierce falls into this category. If he has a run of games, Robson always said, don't judge me on my first game back. Judge me on my 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th game, when I've had a run of games and it's in my legs, so to speak. I mean, that could be something with Pierce. Maybe it's the first few games he looks shaky without that much fitness, but when he comes into the side and he's played a few, maybe he might come good. I don't know. What do you think about that one, Mickey?
Yeah, I think you've probably got a point there. I mean, if you haven't played for a while, you're not getting match games, you're not match fit. It's going to take you a couple of games to settle in, but he does give us something. His legs and all that, but like I said, it was the same thing with Morrison. Morrison's legs were fucked, especially on the Tuesday, Saturday games. He couldn't do 2 on the trot. His legs were fucked, but he gave something. He gave that little general on the pitch to make sure that done. And if you've got a couple of them on the pitch, then for some reason we seem to, play well. But, look, where some of it's on there, can I just say that we are probably the only Millwall podcast what's not actually called any point so far of calling Gary to be sacked.
I was close. I'll admit I was close.
Yeah. We've questioned it a bit.
I think I was in the chat Saturday, wasn't I?
But we've never done it. We've never, it's all about. We've always had faith. Maybe we look at it in a real wall sort of way. Do you know what I mean? We know what Millwall's about. We know its ups and downs and all that. But I just think if he can get what he wants to do and starts rebuilding, then there's potential that we're going to see a good team being developed and coming through.
I just think we've got a missed opportunity here, right? I think if you've got these youngsters in the side, you've got, we've won the under-18s league last season, we won the reserves league last season. You've got these kids here that obviously can play. And I'm not saying they're ready now, but you don't know that sometimes until you throw them in. And I know right season, Monday to Friday, every day of the week, by the way, Mickey. Maybe Wednesday off, but and I know he sees the team, right, and he's the judge of character, and we pay him to judge the team and pick the team. Thanks to you too, mate. And then I think this is a scenario where you've got to think: I think he's just got to throw a youngster in or two and give him an opportunity. They either sink or swim. I don't see the harm, Neil, especially whilst we're playing for, we're not playing for anything, so to speak, at the moment. We've got a slim chance of getting up there. We're probably going to be safe. Don't you think you just throw him in?
No. Basically, because you could actually destroy them. Now is not the time. Unfortunately, with this league, and it's the most frustrating thing about this league is we're unbeaten in 7, but we can't quite put enough daylight in between us and that bottom 3. Yeah, what is it at the minute? 10 points? When really, most other years,
it's 13
it would
points.
Be
Come on, Neil. Say
13 points.
We're staying up, all right? I told you, we're going up this year.
Yeah, no, well, we are going to stay up. Yeah,
I've said it.
But I would just like a few more points between us and that bottom 3 or 4.
I just think...
And this run, we should be on it. But because everybody's got games in hand and it is so close, I think anybody can virtually finish anywhere.
Of course.
Can't they, this season?
I don't
Even now.
I think 46 points keeps us up this year. If you look at the bottom 3, right? Birmingham on 28 points, but played 30. They're going to finish the season less than 46 points. So I think the same with Wickham. They're 19 points. They're gone. And you look at Sheffield Wednesday, 28 points after 29. And you look at Rotherham, the same, 29, 28. And the same with Coventry, 31 points from 30. I think 46, 47 points keeps you up this year. That's 2 more wins. And I know what you're saying. I agree with you. But the ideal opportunity to bring a defender in or a young player in general into a side is when you're 7 unbeaten, you've won the last 3. I just think we're missing an opportunity here to bring a youngster in that's in Muller in this case, right? That were captain the under-18 side that went to Chelsea last year and only lost 1-0. I just think, why not throw them in and see what they're worth? I get what you say, Neil. You could damage their career, right?
Bring him down to earth, Mickey. Come on, bring him down to earth.
And
I think you could fucking ruin some of those youngsters by bringing them on early.
By what? By playing behind closed doors? Who's going to ruin them?
Yeah, but it's not about that. It's about, listen, it's not just about having the fans there to,
that's what I think
fucking... Yeah, but it's not. What happens if they come out and they start having dog shit games? They play a couple of games.
Play shit.
Just fucking listen for a minute, all right?
Mute your mic.
Fucking, do you know what I mean? I'll do what you do to me. I'll do what I do to me. Right, listen. Right.
I'll be a Neil's one.
Listen.
Yeah, you muted me by mistake, you cunt.
No, I'll muted you, don't worry.
Right. What I reckon is this, right, is that if you bring them in too early, say like they have an okay game coming in and then they have another okay, slightly shit game and then Gary takes them off, all of a sudden, psychologically, it's going to have an effect on them. Don't forget, these players and whatnot are a lot more different to what they were back years ago. Don't forget years ago when a lot of the players we spoke, they trained with the under 23s or especially if you go back further back to the 80s and the 70s, a lot of players, they used to train when they were kids with adults and get kicked the shit. Now, most of these under 23s only really play with under 23s, under 18s, all youngsters. So they're not necessarily playing with hardened thing. You suddenly put a youngster in who's not used to being, fucking steamrolled through, like the player did to Thompson on Wednesday. All of a sudden, you could shock their characters and possibly hurt them going forward. So I think edge them in and then go. Unless you've got a player who's got something about him, who's definitely got something about him, who possibly be able to do it.
I've got a counterpoint.
Of course you fucking have.
Imagine Hayden Muller being Hayden Muller, right? Wallace is injured, Murray Wallace. Jake Cooper's injured. Ryan Leonard's injured, who's filled in there. And then go, hang on, I might have my chance to play on the weekend. And then he's playing the player that, you could say is past it, and you can see the flaws in that, and he's struggling. Imagine being Hayden Muller sitting there going, what's the fucking point of me being here if I'm not going to get my opportunity to play? The same thing to George Alexander. And I do, I've not seen a lot of George Alexander, so I can't comment on that, right? And I trust the manager's judgment here, by the way. And I trust the manager's judgment. Well, this is it, though. So then imagine...
Yeah, but it's happening to Matt fucking Smith.
So let's stick up for the likes of Barry Eze, all the people that say that about Eze, who was obviously on our books. Harris didn't rate him, got rid of him. Eze went for 20 million to Crystal Palace in the summer. You don't know about these players until you try them. You don't. And this is it. Like, if these youngsters don't get their opportunities, they go elsewhere. They'll get a chance to play elsewhere. And guess what? They're gone. And you lose them. I think I understand. I get the counteract, and I know it's not as easy as throwing them in. I'm not suggesting throw 6 youngsters in on Saturday because we're safe now. We're not safe, by the way, but I feel like we're going to be safe after a couple more games. But you're going to lose these youngsters if you don't give them a chance to play. You've got to show the path lines there. If you look at Billy Mitchell Thompson breaking through, McNamara breaking through, if you don't play them, these youngsters now, then loan them out somewhere. Let them play somewhere else. Don't keep them here just sitting on the bench. That's what I think anyway.
I agree. Don't keep him here. Put him into lower league. But the thing what's fucked him is probably the wage cap on League 1 and 2, which is fucked him. Possibly going to which is now. But the transfer window's gone, hasn't it? So it's going to be a lot harder to get them out until the next window. But if that wasn't there, then possibly they could go because some of these youngsters might be on slightly more. I don't know what the wage cap is. Do you know what the wage cap was? Because that's why the likes of Webster and people like that are playing in. Non-league as such.
£1.5 million, wasn't it, or something like that? Was it about $1 million in League 2 and maybe about $1.5 million in?
I think it's I'm to the top of my head. I think it's to do with how much revenue they bring in, also how much they spend. But I think for wages, it's like $1.5 million maybe for League 2, and I think it's $2 million for League 1. So I think there's like a cap there. But also, if they bring more revenue in, then they can spend more as well. So like it's like Peterborough get away with that. I think so. They do have a wage cap in League 1 and League 2 still. So, but yeah. I think a lot of people are saying this. Let's see what the chat have got to say. I agree, and we'll agree to disagree on this one, but we'll see what the people have got to say. If Wayne agrees with you, Mickey, youngsters are getting beat up by senior pros because set them back years. We have to ease the youngsters in. Whereas Stuart goes, it could break a youngster or it could make them.
That's why I agree with that. I agree with that. But you've got to, and the only person who's going to know that is the manager and the coaching team, whether or not that player has something about him. That's what I said. If he's got something about him, stick him in. I could see Gary Alexander being quite a level-headed kid.
George Alexander,
I could see him being quite a level because of his dad. But there has to be something. There has to be a reason why they're not playing him.
Josh Davies, if I understand what Mickey is saying, but where do they start if we don't start them? When will they get their opportunities? Joe Zampa, good point from myself, apparently. Mickey's right, according to 69 Same Man. Needs to be careful bringing them in. We're aiming for playoffs, shouldn't be playing loads of kids. Adam saying that start somewhere, got to give them a go. It's a real split one. And
I agree with Billy. I agree with Barry there. Let's get to a limit where we're safe and then we could start bringing them in when there's no pressure. Because let's be honest, right? If we suddenly start playing youngsters now and we don't start getting the results we want, we're not safe, we don't start getting the results, the way our fan base is, and this is no disrespect to anyone on the chat, anyone who's listening, but our fan base are fuckers targeting players. I mean, come on, look, we all think, regardless of what you think of Budvarsson has had death threats and whatnot on social media, hence why he's come off it. So, all days now where all these youngsters are all over social media, have all got accounts, and trolls and whatnot are out there and hammer them, there's no point. Surely the club's got duty of care not to put these people in line of attack. So they've got to field them in carefully. Well, whether it's right or wrong.
Well, this is it though. Like, I agree with what you're saying. It's a harsh world out there, but this is what I'm saying. It's behind closed doors. Something they're used to playing with your 23s. That sort of environment is still there. And I know they don't play against senior pros, but they still have 3 or 4 senior pros dropping into most squads nowadays to get minutes in if they come out from injuries or they're not playing in the sides. So I don't think it'd be that big of a culture shock. And they train with the team week in, week out. So I'm pretty sure Hayden Muller will get his fair few of elbows against Matt Smith. I don't know if there's, I'm pretty sure Matt Smith will let him know what's what in the training ground.
Yeah, well, I think tomorrow will tell us a lot. Yeah. If he's on the bench or because I can't see what other options he's got. But
the only counteracts, though, just before I'll let you speak, Neil, sorry. One of our own, that tag for Millwall fans rings true beyond belief. One of our own. Look at Ben Thompson. People sometimes bring his flaws out, but people still back Ben Thompson when he's in the side because we love a Millwall player. I still got a soft spot for Sid Nelson after he came through and when he was mismanaged by Ian Holloway. Sid Nelson, I still got a soft spot for him because he was a proper Millwall fan that gave his heart out there. And, every game away from home, he'd throw his shirt into the crowds for the fans. Like bits like the same thing with John Marquis, another player that, had a little bit of attitude on him, but I've got a soft spot for these players. Look at Marvin Williams. I really identified with these podcasts with us the other week, where he's talking about his experiences. Players that come through our academy, our fans love him. We love him. I still love him now, to be honest. I really do.
But we only need to play them if they're good enough. Yeah,
of course.
Maybe Gary Rowett doesn't think he's good enough.
Yeah, but there's also
tomorrow will tell us.
Look at Cherno. Cherno was good enough, and we never fucking played him. We just destroyed him. So we got, there's both sides. What we've got to do is nurture these players in the right platform, in the right arena, and not fuck
Well, they
them
were vindictive.
so we don't play.
Cherno.
Yeah, they were. But what I'm saying is we've got to be able to play these players if we think they're ready to play, but don't just hold them back just for the sake of going, oh, well, unfortunately we're going to do this, because we've seen that they don't necessarily play people for whether or not we don't know whether or not it's contract purposes, whether or not it's this, it's that. Look at Matt Smith, scored the most goals last season, our leading goal scorer, yet it's hard work for him to get a game this season. So if he ain't getting a game, then I'm damn sure that the likes of Alexander and the other lad, what's his name, ain't getting a game either. So I don't know. There's lots of things afoot here, but we've just got to, in Gary we trust, I suppose, and move forward.
End of the day, it's just worth debating about, because I think it is a good topic to speak about, and there's something to be mentioned about. I think we don't see what goes on in training, correct, but I think in which case, obviously, we'll leave it to the power that be Gary Rowett. He's got it right the last 7 games. Let's talk about Wickham. Alan Smith here leading us on nicely for the last closing stages of the show. We play Wickham tomorrow. Neil, hit me with some stats about when we play Wickham in the past, our previous head-to-heads. What have you got for us?
It's not a particularly decent record, I don't think. Yeah. Well, I think you remember our last league win, wasn't it, about a decade ago?
Yeah.
In that famous Ainsworth laid out Tony Craig a couple of times game.
They done the double over us. They done the double over us that season, didn't they?
Yeah,
they beat us 2-0 at the Den when we was on a decent run of form, and then away from home. I don't know if anyone was there that day, but I think I checked it with you earlier, Neil. I think we lost 1-0. They had Tom Heaton on goal on loan from Man United at the time. Obviously, he's now in the Premier League, and Neil Harris gets a penalty, right? And it's at Adams Park in front of the Millwall fans. He misses it. And he goes afterwards to get the ball, I think the keeper saves it. Tom Heaton makes a great save to his right. And he pushes over the ball boy and he gets put for it. I just thought that's a little quirk fact that I remember quite well. I just, Wickham are a bogey side for us. I will say that. I think, especially in recent times. And before that, I don't think we played them too often before that, to be honest. I think, you look at obviously a couple cup games in the middle days, isn't there, Neil, since we played them in the league, isn't it?
Yeah, there's quite a few cup games. I think our record has improved, but in the league, it's not very good. And they were, until we started winning these cup ties, they were a team that you kind of dreaded us playing because, let's face it, it's a shithole surrounded by fucking hills and the Viagra factory on the lead up to the ground. They play horrible football. You know what's going to happen tomorrow? They're going to time waste like fuck from the first minute. We've got little Freddie with a point to prove, although I think he's probably only had about 2 or 3 good games this season.
That's where we need to. That's where we need to make sure that hopefully Keith is fit, and within the first 10 minutes of that game, Keith just fucking
cleans him out,
straight through him, and just go, listen, little boy, I'm fucking here. And that
sent him over the top of the stand, straight into the fucking Millwall calf.
Yeah, definitely.
Through the fucking roof.
Go through it and just thingy, mate. Do you know what I mean? Because
and then laughs at him.
I don't know. I'm a bit bitter against fucking Fred, mate. But yeah, because I knew some of the backstory to that. But yeah, it is what it is. But I agree. Wickham is a bogey team. I can't stand their manager. Never ever forget what he did to fucking Tony Craig, the dirty little cunt.
Well, he did it twice. He did it over the way, didn't he?
Yeah, and if you check back through the podcast, you actually hear what he did and some of the damage what he did to him. But they are a physical side. But you know what? We just need to fucking take it to him. I think he scored a good
goal against Spurs, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, Josh Bain here. Fred played really well against Spurs. I think they were leading at one point, weren't they? I'm pretty sure. So
yeah, was that the game where he picked the ball up and went for about 4 or 5 players?
I think it was that was his goal, wasn't it, where he scored, but yeah.
I think, they're going to be a side that looks to frustrate us, and we look to struggle against these normal sides. They're going to want to keep the ball. They're going to want us to keep the ball, sorry, and that's something that we obviously, we done well against Birmingham the other night. We had less possession somehow against a side that played quite similar to us, We play with intent, though. As long as we get players involved, Jeb Wallace in the sort of wide areas that he's picking up recently, and I think, if we just play our game, I do think we'll hopefully come out of this game tomorrow with another 3 points. It's looking a little good. I think there's an outside chance here, Neil. I know I'm looking with rose-tinted glasses like I always do here, right? But you look at our fixtures, Neil, and I think it's obviously Wickham tomorrow. After that, we've got, I think it's, I'm really loading up right now, it's taking for a while. Luton away next week in the midweek, Barnsley away. Then you've got Preston and Blackburn at home. Then you've got Derby away, QPR away, Middlesbrough at home, Rotherham at home, Stoke away. Up until that point, you know, I'm not scared of any of those teams there. None of them teams really kind of, on previous head-to-heads as well this season, none of them make me worried. None of them make me scared. I don't know what the chat think about this, but if we get a couple more wins here, looking good.
We had this discussion.
You're bringing me back down to earth.
Around to your way of thinking on Monday.
Me back down to earth. I'm gonna brainwash a lot of you. Don't worry. Give me some time.
No, but we do have a chance. Yeah, it's an outside chance. Yeah, let's not get carried away because we're only going to get disappointed.
Yeah, but you do this every week, Neil. You do this every week when we're on the chat on the game. You sit there and go, "Oh no." We do a little prediction before the game. What you're going to do, and we try and be as positive as we can. And Neil comes in with, "Oh, we're going to lose this 2-0, or we're going to lose this 1-0." But you know, we're sitting there going, "No, we're going to win." And
yeah, but that's generally because I'm in a bad mood after having the right all fucking.
Well, look, lads. We got 10 games right till we play Swansea, Brentford,
glass half full,
right? Until we play them.
Yeah, that's what he was saying the other day.
We got 10 games right. We'll get 30 points from our next 10. We'll win all 10. We'll be in the playoffs, and then we don't need to worry about the rest of the other games that we play against the sides up there. We'll save ourselves. We'll play Muller in those games. We'll play Billy Mitchell and all them lot, and then hopefully, you know, we'll prove ourselves. You know, we're going to get it. We're going to go and win the playoffs.
What are you on? What are you on? What is in that bottle?
Pepsi Max Raspberry.
Yeah, you've got vodka in there, haven't you? You're fucking pissed. To be honest, though, last week, when we were doing this show last Friday, I think we'd have been absolutely ecstatic with 3 wins if we do win tomorrow, with 3 wins from 3, wouldn't we? We'd have probably settled. We'd have probably settled for a point against Reading. We went there and won. They were crap.
Mm.
We turned over Birmingham. They were crap. We know that Wickham are shit. They shouldn't be in this division. Let's not make too many bones about it. And then we've got we've got Luton on Tuesday night. If we pick up those 4 wins, that is a bonus.
Listen, it's petrifying.
That is a blinding force.
Listen,
I'm a Millwall fan for 15
years. And I think we will do it.
15, 20 years.
I think we will win the next 2 games.
He's doing this for public support. He's only doing this because he wants
No, he's not.
I'm not chatting.
He's not. I think we will win the next 2 games.
I love it.
But the way that this league is, because everybody's winning above us, yeah, we can't quite close that gap. Yeah, if we were 3 or 4 points behind them, yeah, I think, brilliant. But we just cannot close that gap on 6th place, can we?
I think we'll be in the playoffs this season. I think we've been just there or thereabouts. And it's the same as last season. We gave that push and then we slipped up towards the end. I just think that this year we're going to be hungry and we're just going to go for it. Do I think we get promoted? Possibly not. I think we'll probably get spanked in the playoff. But I do think that we've got every chance of getting into the playoff.
The thing that worries me is the injuries.
Well, look, okay,
the injuries are piling up. Yeah,
but look, listen.
I think if we have another injury or 2, especially in midfield and the back, we're not going to be able to cope with it.
I think Joe Zampa agrees with you here. If we had a fit squad, we're not good enough to get into the playoffs. But unfortunately, those injuries, we will finish mid-table. Maybe blessing disguise that Ken Sahor's injured with Matt Smith getting into the side. You never know. These things, opportunities are being presented to the boys, you know, and
he was poor the other night, though, wasn't he?
We've got a few calls here, Neil, for Prime Minister. I mean, privately, I don't know if Neil's the most confident Millwall fan. I think he's taking all the plaudits here. Mickey's calling him out for it, and I think rightly so here. You know, I think Neil is.
Says the man who sits on the fence more than anybody.
I fucking call much listen, right? The thing is, I agree. Neil, in front of our esteemed guests on this show tonight, you're talking bollocks because you sit there blowing it all up, going, "Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that." On the chat tomorrow morning, you're going to sit there going, "Oh, I've got a feeling about this. We're going to get fucking spanked. We're going to lose."
Omar, we're going to win. We're going to win the next.
In Neil's defense,
two.
though, in Neil's defense, right, this is the tales of being a Millwall fan, and you always get it. And this is the one thing I miss on a Saturday morning, getting on the train on an away day, right? You're all sitting there, you're all debating, and some of you are confident, some of you are like, we're going to get fucking pounded today. Some of us have put 20, 30 quid on us to win, on an ACCA or anything, right? And that's the tales of it, right? We're all scarred and all kind of, the highs make the shit times worse and the lows make the higher times better. Like, this is it, though. And we're used to this, but I'll tell you now, we're going to win tomorrow. Results go away. We'll be 7th. Thierry Henry gets appointed Bournemouth manager. We win our next 9. Bournemouth plummet because Henry's not that great of a manager, and we're going to win the playoffs. There you go. Job done.
What, is Thierry Henry gone to Bournemouth as
manager?
Well,
he's rumoured to, isn't he? So, I think that's going to nosedive them. I really do think that'll nosedive them. And also, we saw Reading on Saturday. How good were Reading? Not great.
They were fucking dog shit, weren't they?
I think it's fair to say. It's fair to say the top 4
in the playoffs.
Made up. The top 4's made up, I think. Norwich, Brentford, Watford, Swansea. They're the 4 better sides that we've played this season. They're the 4 sides that will be up there, I think, between now and the end of the season. I think that's fair to say that. And then you've got 5th and 6th that are up for grabs. I think, We're
going to win the next 2, and I'm even going to say that in the chat. Yeah, in our WhatsApp group. We are going to win the next fucking 2 games. I don't know who we've got after that. Who we got next Saturday, Omar?
Barnsley.
We're going to fucking beat them, the Northern cunts. Yeah, because they're fucking Northern monkeys. And that is another side that we struggle against. I think, we're down here, aren't we?
No, we're away from home against Barnsley.
Oh, we're away. Fuck me. It's going to be fucking cold then, isn't it? But we're still going to win it, yeah?
Well, look.
I'm thinking positive.
Listen,
this is the optimism we bring on a Friday night. This is it, everyone. Come on, this is all we need.
I hope you lot are enjoying this every Friday night. Make sure you bring your pals next week. We're starting to settle into our. Yeah, I agree with that. Omar needs to be hired as a team's motivational speaker. Yeah, he definitely sits on a fucking fence in our group chats, mate. He's definitely one that don't say. He like to say how it is as long as the team don't get fucking hurt by their feelings and whatnot. So yeah, I think. Come
on, I'm positive. I'm always glass half full.
It's all about being positive. Come on, it's all about
Omar is
positive.
The king of Millwall woke.
Oh no! That's fucking harsh.
What?
That's you need to apologise for that, Neil.
He says he is like Meghan and Harry. We must be nice to everyone.
No, that's bollocks. He ain't
nice to each other. Yeah?
No.
He
No, I'm not having that.
What he
No, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. No, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. He definitely ain't a woke fucking lefty. Listen, this show, I think.
I'm not saying he's a lefty, but he's fucking.
No, he's not woke. I think
nice to everyone.
I think the way it is that what we want is a conversation like we have every Friday night, and hopefully throughout the other shows. Is that what we want? Is it's as if we're sitting in a pub. You watch the game, you go in the pub beforehand, you go on a travel. We just want to be able to have opinions. We're never going to agree on everything because we are what we are. We're 3 different age groups. We're 3 different views on it. But it's fun and games. Do you know what I mean? I enjoy fucking the fact that Neil has a public persona and a WhatsApp persona, and they are 2 different characters. What you see with Omar is necessarily the same on the podcast as what's in the group chat. Me,
anyway.
But listen, I've been around publicly within the club for about the last 6 years, and if you don't fucking like me by now,
here we go.
Here we go.
No, nothing like that.
I saved the club. I want a statue.
It took 58.
Listen, right, what I was saying, right, it's got nothing like that, right? What I'm saying is I've been around long enough that if you don't like me, by the way, I've muted the boys because they just fucking don't shut up.
Oh, no, you haven't. We've unmuted ourselves.
And basically, listen, I've been around long enough and I'm either a cunt or I'm not a cunt. That's it, mate. Listen, at the end of the day, listen, one thing's what, if there is anyone, listen, right, we'll see what's what, because we've turned about it, but if there's anyone on the group who's in the group chat and whatnot, if you fancy possibly putting some of the comments you put on there and you want to put it directly to us face to face and come on the show, then drop us an email, drop us a DM and let us know what's what, and maybe we'll look at getting you on going forward maybe over the next couple of weeks or a month or so, where maybe we'll look at getting some people on with your opinion so that, people can give it to Neil or even give it to me. I don't give a shit. I think it's all good fun, but I am I'm liking this. Friday night listening on the pod like we were in the pub swiping right on Neil's phone.
Next week's drinking game. That's it. Down your drink when Mickey mentions being fouled on the board. I think people are going to get pissed off.
I didn't mention it, by the way, and I get so much fucking grief.
You're heading down that direction.
I wasn't for
the club for 6 years. There we go.
Listen, you know who I am. You know who the fuck I am. That's all I'm saying to you.
My dad is more famous in the Millwall scene than you are, mate, for his calf fry-ups.
Listen. Right, shut up for 1 minute. Right, next week. Right, before next show, I'll make up a Google Drive bingo card with comments what we all say, and then basically get it, and you can play your drinking games at home while you watch the show or listen back in it. You just download your bingo card and see. And I reckon by the end of it, we'll have some very pissed fucking listeners.
Can I just be serious for 1 minute?
Alan Smith's offered his missus, but you can't have the beer.
Yeah, can you send us a picture?
He's offered her before. He offered his missus a couple of weeks ago. I'm 99% sure. So
yeah. Can I just be serious for 1 minute? And that's that. This lockdown has been brutal, I think, for everyone.
Well, good boy there, Neil.
I've got to be honest that these two geezers have kept me going throughout it with our WhatsApp group and these.
Is he being nice, Omar?
Yeah, well, our live streams and whatever else, and everybody in the chat. It was actually a pleasure to actually wake up this morning and think that at the end of the day, we had this to look forward to. And I just want to thank those two guys there.
Well, we've got a special thank you, but we have got a special show in March. What we're announced what's what with it going forward. We got two special shows now, I suppose, in International Week. So yeah, look, we do this for the love of the club. We do this because we enjoy what we're doing. It's not about you throwing us money and whatnot. If you want to donate to us, just stick it to a local charity connected to Millwall, mate. They need the money more than what we do. We just want to have fun. Friday night, it's just an hour and a bit of just having banter. We record a podcast. This is our podcast. We just decide to record it live. If you enjoy it, great. You want to get involved, let us know. But we couldn't do this show on a Friday night without all of you who are in the comments adding. So if you are enjoying it, just make sure next week, make sure you tell your pals and then we'll start growing and growing and growing, and hopefully the debate will come more and more. I'll be called to come more and more. I'll say fan on the board lots more times. Neil will sit there and call people ninja fucking gingers and fucking twats and everything else. And Omar, Omar will be Omar and just leads
He'll
our
be
ship.
The king of woke.
Wow. Leads our ship in the right direction.
Neil.
He's fucking Neil. You're a cunt for that.
In 10 games time, we'll be on 71 points. We'll be looking to get our home leg in the second leg of the playoffs. And we're going up, all right? And Neil, I'd love to go. This is your first live, your Tinder profile, by the way. I'd love to go for you like Kevin Muscat, looking for a girl with hands as good as Bielkowski and as good with their head as Matt Smith. Must be a fan of Wood.
Do you know what, Neil? Can we set you up at Tinder just for a joke then? Set up with all cliches and all of that in the profile just for the crack.
I think we've got to do it. We've got to get it done.
The thing is, I'm 300 miles away from you lot.
We got to do an in real life Tinder, or we do like a blind date scene sort of set up in a pub after lockdown when we were allowed all into a mutual place. And then Neil's going to be behind a board, and we're going to have 6 Millwall ladies lined up on the other side, right?
Who's going to be? Are you going to be? Yeah. If you're a lady listening to this or watching this, and you want a bit of Neil, get in touch.
My fucking son could be watching this.
He's got loads of one-liners in him. He's obsessed with Katie Price, just as Joe's commented about this.
You know what? We seriously need to revisit that group chat idea for a Saturday, because I think with a lot of people on this chat here, Neil would get ruined with some of his decisions on a Saturday. Oh, fuck, my shoulder really hurts.
Good.
I think we've.
You're
I
a
think this has
cunt.
come. I think this has come to a nice hacienda point, lads. I think.
That's it.
I think we've had a good show
We
tonight.
got any
Obviously-
score predictions for tomorrow then?
Yeah,
think
stick
we'll-
your score predictions up, lads and ladesses,
We're going to win 2-0.
in the chat. Come on,
2-0
bang them up
Millwall.
now.
We'll put
Yeah, I
we'll
think-
put a charity
I
bet
think we're
on
gonna
based
win.
on the most dominant score that people put in the comments below. So I think
I
2-0.
think we're going to win 4-0.
What the hell were you having?
What the
Well, we
fuck is
beat-
that? Does he know you, Neil?
No,
This one's even better, Neil. This one's even better.
We've had a right flood of comments in actually for the scores tomorrow. So we've got 3-0 from Stephen. We've got 3-0 from Dave. We've got 2-1 from Linus. We've got 3-1 from Josh. 3-1 from Matt. 3-1 from Oliver. I think 3-1's winning, lads. Jesus. Jack Miranda 0-0. Classic Jack. Love that. 3-0 from Darren. 2-1 from Barry. 1-0 from Alan. I think 3-1's winning this, lads. I've seen more 3-1s than anything. 3-1 Millwall. Another 4-0 shout. Neil, someone's on your same page as you, mate. 5-0 here from Keith. Keith, I love your positivity.
Oh.
Wasn't Keith the one that said 4-0 a couple of weeks ago, I think? And it was
4-4. Yeah, but didn't Keith say 4-4 the other week?
I'm sure Keith. I'm sure Keith was the one saying to do 4-0 and it was 4-1. I think it was close. I'm pretty sure it was you, Keith. Forgive me if I'm wrong.
No, it was 4-4.
Don't know. I can't remember. One or the other. 2-1 and 3-1 seems to be the predominant scores. I'm going to tally them up after the show, and then we'll see if we can get a little bet put on for the.
I just need to defend myself. Stuart is a friend of mine who lives in the States and is an ugly cunt, but still, just to ruin it, my right shoulder hurts. I'm left-handed, so fuck you. Also, obviously, I know where Stuart lives, and I know that Linus lives in Sweden. But is there anyone else around the world that listens to this? Let us know, because it's always interesting to see where we go. As we're growing more and more now, we seem to be going further and further afield, and that's it. But yeah, I think it's it. I've just got two things to say, if I can, Omar, before we go. If we finish chatting,
if Linus knows any Swedish birds, put them onto us.
Right, the one thing is that over the weekend I'm going to put. I did a poster. We done a poster about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago now, nearly, for Lions Food Hub. Unfortunately, someone bid on it, and they've not come through with sorting out a donation and paying it. So I'm going to put that back up. It's a Terry Hurlock poster. It's about A3. It's a nice design from a guy called Josh. Shed Creation is his company. He's done them a few years back. I'll pick one up. But they're a nice little picture put in a frame. It's ideal. All the money raised from that, every single penny of it, will go directly to the Lions Hub. You will donate to the Lions Hub, and then they'll send us notification, and I'll stick it in the post here. Also, if you're enjoying some of the podcast stuff, we are now, every weekend, we're going to load up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're going to load up some clips from the videos we do onto YouTube going forward. So again, today we've put up the video with Mark Phillips, which tells you the truth about the incident, or the truth as what was allowed to be told on camera. We know the truth, but we can't tell you. But there's a video up now talking about the tunnel with Millwall versus Sheffield United, with Paddy Kenny and Muscat and possibly another player, and also what was his name, who comes steaming in with a water bottle? Can't think of his name.
Danny Dickio.
Danny Dickio comes in about 10 minutes late with a bottle of water. So
bottle. Yeah.
So, Josh, did you like that, Josh, at the beginning?
Baby shark. But yeah, I think we've run a course there. I think I've got everything you need to say there, Mickey. Or I've
got one more thing. I don't know if it's going to be a bit controversial though. But look, if you enjoy the show, please. Well, slightly. Listen, if you like the show, please do leave a review. We do like the reviews. We read them. They're great. If you're a rival podcast show or you're a rival show, then please do leave a shitty review like you have been doing. It gives us great enjoyment, and we do love reading them. And we do know we can pinpoint to which show wrote what, so it's great. And we put it on our wall, and it's nice that you've taken that time set out of your day to write us a shitty report. It's fantastic that you're obviously listening to us and we've got to you in some way or another, which is great. We are doing this for the fans. It's fully interactive. We can only do it with the fans' interaction. So thank you very much. And I am truly humbled to have people listening to us. So yeah, it's all good.
I think he's humbled, we're humbled, so you know, because we're a trio here, by the way. So no, I'm joking. Obviously, guys, like Mickey said there, be sure to leave us a review. We do appreciate any constructive or good or bad reviews, to be honest. We always like it. So yeah, I mean, guys, thanks always for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're listening on the podcast format, be sure to check us out on a Friday night between 8 and 9 over on our YouTube channel, That Mill Podcast. We're on Twitter at That Mill Pods. Drop us an email. If you want to get in touch, if you want to get on the show, you're always welcome to. We always want people to give some reports. If you want to send us a voice note, we can always put it into the show on a Sunday morning to go out. Just give you a post-match thought. So always
that's on the website. On the website now, if you go to the website, which is www.thatmillwallpodcast.co.uk, if you look on the main page, just scroll down a bit, you'll see there's a little box that says click here to leave a voice message. You can click there. It lets you leave a couple of minutes, up to a couple of minutes of a voicemail. Come straight through to us. We will get you on a show. We will get you put onto the show. So yeah, it's all there. Don't forget, if you're watching us on YouTube and you haven't yet, because there are a lot of you who haven't, please just press that subscribe. The more subscribers we get on YouTube, the more stuff we can do on YouTube. But it's like having keys. We need all the little keys to be able to open up more and more features. Then we can do more and more things. So yeah, it's all good fun.
All right.
And can I thank the two people that were waiting at 3 o'clock this afternoon for this to start? You're absolute lunatics, whoever you are.
We'll be back next week, guys, Friday night, and we'll also be back on Sunday. Thanks for listening. See you guys later.